Hi, ladies, and good afternoon. Again, my name's Annette Bove, and I am a life coach. I have recently founded what's called the Giving Key, and I help people with narcissist behavior and abuse in their lives and domestic violence. Also specializing in mindfulness and trauma and stress management. So I'd like to tell you my story. Um, And I'm going to be referring to some notes, so I'm sorry if I'll be looking down occasionally, but it's the best way for me to do this, so just bear with me. Um, Narcissist is something that now at this point, 40% of women are experiencing some kind of narcissist abuse in their life, whether it's a family member or it's a relationship, it could be a job situation, it could be a friendship. 40% is pretty high at this point. So we're also seeing, unfortunately, the next generation, coming up thinking that this kind of behavior is okay. And they're seeing these young girls in high school going to counseling to try to get them to rethink and relive this behavior and know that it's not okay. I'm going to start with my story. I have to tell you that a lot of this intertwines through my life, and then I'll go on to telling you how I got past things, how I took control back, what's in my toolbox for every day, and how you can move forward and move on with your life. Narcissist is a word that's all way, way too familiar with me now, but it does make sense for me now. A word that I put out there is that I say that I escaped from narcissist behavior, and it truly is an escape. It's not just leaving. Narcissism is a cruel behavior. It's a mental abuse process that causes trauma, PTSD, years of undoing your thinking processes and behaviors, all caused by another person. Um, so, what is a narcissist? A narcissist is a person who is and will use mental and possibly physical abuse towards you and manipulation towards you or others, rewriting your story, using techniques called gaslighting, lying, smearing campaigns. They recruit people for their cause. They often are called flying monkeys. They project negativity. They will shame you. They will blame other people when it's actually their fault. Um, Nothing they do is wrong. Nothing they do is their fault. They love attention. They normally have an entourage of people. A lot of people kind of believe their facade when you, in fact, are on the other end of that and you receive the abuse or the actual truth of what's going on. They're very argumentative people and very controlling. Um, They'll keep you financially poor so that you can't leave. They have no empathy or compassion. It's just not in their makeup. And they often, though, will play the victim. They don't have respect for other people, I've noticed. They're very disloyal and dishonest. They believe they're superior. There's an entitlement with a narcissist and narcissist behavior that's really different from what we consider entitlement. Um, it's an ownership type entitlement. It's an you owe me type entitlement. It's not the entitlement we think of with, maybe a child that's feeling entitled to because, they've had things in their lives or things like that. This is a you owe me mentality. Um, they're often very disrespectful to others, and this process occurs a little bit at a time. So there are times when you don't even realize what's going on here. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize through my family that this was going on until I got outside of a marriage, and then I started looking back. I started looking back on how can I change what's going on here? How can I move forward? What's going to move me forward? Actually found out that narcissism has followed me my whole life. It didn't start with my ex-husband. It actually started with a family member. It actually started with my mother. But it really wasn't until I got out of that marriage, like I said, that I kind of started looking back, because I started realizing that I deserved better, what I would and wouldn't tolerate anymore. Um, the patterns that I saw in that marriage, it interlocked with how I grew up. And so we think that behavior is okay, and we look and we search out for that behavior because we go into survival mode. Survival mode is what we do to shut out the world and kind of learn how to get through what we're going through. And so I feel like at a very early age, I learned survival mode and continued doing that until I got out of the situations that I was in. My story starts with my mother. A lot of times I find that people are experiencing this, and sometimes it could be a father. It doesn't have to be your mother. But I find that, your mom is the person that you think should be your main support and someone you can go to, and someone that, is that person in your life. So I think it's harder for us women in some circumstances to have it be our mother. However, it can be, like I said, your father, other family members, could be a friend. Um, as far as I can remember back, my mom was always a very argumentative person that liked to use fear to get me to comply to, whatever it was. Always being put down. I was never going to be anything. This started early. I remember, I'm going to say around age 10 or 12 is when I started to realize my mom wasn't like everybody else's mom. There was no encouragement, there was no empathy, there was no compassion. It was all about her attention. Attention, even like using me as if I was sick, to get attention. My brother, um, she was different with him. He won't even talk about what's going on or what had happened back then. He's about 7 years older than me. So a lot of times I noticed being younger, he wasn't around, and I didn't quite understand his survival mode was being out of the house and being around other people and not coming home. I was there and getting a different type of abuse than he was. Um, she kind of used me as, the cute little girl, everything looked good, our family was perfect. Um, but that truly wasn't the case. My father and I were very close. He worked a lot of hours. He was a very hard worker, so he wasn't around much. So the things that my brother and I saw of her, it's not that he didn't see those things. He just, you know, he was getting that abuse as well. I found out later in life and just didn't talk about it. Not talking about it is something that I think in my generation, I grew up Italian Catholic in a very strict family, that you didn't show emotion. You certainly didn't complain. You didn't talk to other people about what you were going through. And so enter survival mode at a very young age, in my case. And I'm assuming my brothers as well. Um, as time went on, I guess I was about 12ish. I started to kind of understand, what was really going on. For some reason, she truly thought I was going to embarrass my family. I was going to get pregnant. Again, it was all these weird things I didn't understand. I was a good kid. At that age, I was still hanging with my friends and trying to enjoy life. And there was always this walking on eggshells around her, a fear of she was going to tell my father I was going to do this, she was going to tell him that. There was always family issues, fighting amongst the family that seemed to boil down to her. And at some point, she had isolated um, my father and I both from the family. Um, she had isolated him from friends. She would do everything she could to, be the center of attention. And I really find in her case, that instead of putting that to good use and getting good attention, she really liked being there and getting, negative attention. And she really thrived on that. She still does to this day, actually. Um, when I was about 12, my brother got married and moved out. And then I was pretty much on my own. I then kind of picked up in his shoes, and I started not being home. I would be there when my dad was there. I would go to my friend's house where, I felt safe. I felt that her family showed love, and I got a little bit of attention and encouragement from her mom. And I kind of felt like that's how family should be. And then I would go home, and it wasn't that way. Um, a lot of my friends would come over, and it would just be not the same atmosphere as when I would go to their house. There was never any, I'm proud of you or I love you. It was always some kind of put down nonstop. And so, with that being said, when I got to my teenage years, I was curious about things. I needed to know things, and I had no one to talk to. And at that point, I tried to confide in one of my aunts, who then told my mom, and then I got in trouble, and then it came back, and it comes back, and it comes back. So I was really kind of on my own growing up. My dad and I had a good relationship. Like I said, my dad was a saint, actually, because he wouldn't talk about what he was going through, and he certainly tried not to show it to me. Although as I got older, I certainly caught on. At 15 years old, we moved out of the area. Um, I took that opportunity to start over, find new friends, do positive things with my life, and for a while, it actually worked. Um, then I felt like it all started coming back with her. I was getting old enough to go to college. I wanted to get out and get a driver's license. All of these things she would ruin. She would ruin relationships. She would ruin my going to college. She would everything was control, control, control. Um, at that point, I became, was 18, was on my own working. Um, in my early 20s, I became very self-destructive because I didn't know where to put this anger and these feelings. Um, at age 24, I was told, you need to change your lifestyle. You're going to die here. I only weighed about 87 pounds, maybe less than that at times. For the first time, I had some control. And again, having no one to talk to, not understanding there was counseling out there. We didn't talk about counseling back then. Um, so I'll circle back around to her, because what happens is, again, you think you can get away from this, but at some point, until you really understand what it is about this and what you need to rethink and change, you're kind of still on the inside of it. At that point, I met my now ex-husband. I was 25 years old, and I truly thought, this person was going to save me. Um, he was a musician. He was talented. We liked the same things. He was funny. It was a whole different atmosphere. And me, like any other girl, had the dream that I was going to have it all. We were the perfect couple. I was really looking through things with rose-colored glasses at that point. Um, he was very difficult. I would use those words a lot as we were dating. Again, I was not enough. I was never good enough. As you see, things start intertwining. Um, there were things that I found out later on that I should have saw those red flags then. But again, I didn't know anything about this behavior or that it was dysfunctional. I just wanted to be somewhere where I was enough. We dated for 5 years, and eventually we did get married. At that time, my friends were all married. They were having children. I was ready to move on. I had a great career as a hairstylist. I was a dance instructor. And then We had this wedding. Um, the wedding was kind of a joke. I think people were laughing. There were bets on how long we were going to stay together. Had I known, again, hindsight, had no idea. I didn't see him for what he was then. But what I did see him was the first 24 hours that we were married. It all changed. Day one of the marriage, I knew I had made a major mistake. It changed overnight. I certainly wasn't enough. I did nothing right. I was constantly corrected. I was belittled and made to feel useless. For example, I didn't do the dishes correctly, laundry, cleaning, whatever it was wrong. He'd go into rages, yell and rant. At one point, I had a toilet brush in my hand and was cleaning, and he would, show me the correct way, which was his way. And it just started with a vengeance. A few months into it, I quickly became ill and depressed. He told me he had no sympathy for that or for me. I also, became to the point where I had a schedule to follow, sometimes lists. Within 6 months, I had lost my friends and I had lost my family. The first year, I cried daily, and I didn't want to be seen as a failure. So, as a woman, growing up in an Italian family that was very strict and Catholic, you certainly didn't give up and you didn't get out of this marriage, right? That's what I didn't know what I did. You just didn't do it. You didn't know that. So what you understand as well is, I wasn't a weak person, and they don't pick people that are weak. And you'll find out, through the end of this, how strong, I ended up becoming. Things became very routine. His behavior became worse. I became a shell of a person, by year 10. My day would be, I would get up at 5:30. I would clean the entire house. I would start dinner. I would make lunch, take care of the animals. I would inventory the house. Did we have stamps? Did I have cat litter? Simple things, and they all needed to be in place so that I could get through my day, which was usually at this point working 2 to 3 jobs, being responsible for everything. I was the caregiver, the plumber, I was the receptionist, I was, the accountant, I was, the business manager, I worked my own jobs, the cleaning lady, you name it. I had to have meals on the table by certain times. But this was my aha moment. At year about 13-ish or 14, I found a Reiki intuition group. There I found people that offered me courage and friendship, and I started really coming out of that fog. Once a month, I got a break, and I started to take my life back. I finally found what I needed, and that was support. Support is one of your biggest allies in narcissism, getting out and moving forward. It still took me a little while, a few years. Again, I was kept financially poor, knowing that I couldn't go anywhere. I went to my mother. Again, this comes back around, to try to talk to her, and she told me to suck it up, that marriage didn't get any better. So that kept me there a little while longer, because I truly felt like I had nowhere to go. However, there are plenty of places, I'll tell you, at some point here, that you can go. So it was her narcissist behavior that started my journey. But by year 16 and 17 of being in that marriage, I truly felt like I was dying a slow death. I was in a prison, my health declined, my stress was unbelievable, and it just went on and on and on. So here's what I did to get away from this, and you can too. Through those new people that I met, I met a girl named Lori, and she recognized in me what I now recognize in other people. She took me aside and told me her story about domestic violence. And, It was a horrific story that I can't even imagine that she survived. That got the wheels rolling. Somebody reached out to me and was able to give me some hope. So what did I do? I found a counselor. I went behind his back. With counseling, I made a plan of action. I was then able to make a plan to put in place to get away. I found my fire, which was I deserved better and you deserve better. So, again, find your fire. Maybe it's your children. Maybe it's you want a better job. Maybe it's just for yourself. Whatever it is, find it, get support, go to counseling, and get yourself in a good situation. Um, Divorce is very ugly for everybody. I left with one piece of furniture, my dog, and my car and my clothes. But the price of freedom was way worth more than anything that I needed to hold on to or try to fight for. However, I would advise you if you're going through divorce and you do have children involved, please, get an attorney if you're able. Let this, let this all play out. Listen to your attorney. My biggest thing is please expect the unexpected from a narcissist when you get out of this situation, because what happened after was just as traumatizing for me as what happened during. He recruited people from all over our area, and this recently has just stopped. And today I will be starting my 5th year free. So for almost 5 years, I have been harassed, stalked, photographed, attacked on social media, harassed through social media, made a prisoner to my home, become very paranoid about who I'm around. And so this is what they do. They twist you and turn you around. But let me tell you, you can get away from this and you can start and rethink your life and relive again. So, what I'm asking you is to expect the unexpected. Be prepared for anything. But my biggest thing was I was going to be the bigger person here, and I was going to do this with dignity and grace. And let me tell you, that was the best thing I did. Being angry, fighting back, just no response is a response. It is your best advice you can get. Find a support system, get a counselor. They will help you find somewhere to go. If you can't find somewhere to go in your town, please reach out to me. I'll find somewhere for you to go. There are many women's organizations that will help you. I had no furniture. I went to the Goodwill. I went to the Salvation Army, secondhand stores. I did what I had to do. And you know what? It was fine. Secondhand furniture didn't faze me a bit. I was free of that life. So tell yourself that you deserve better, because you absolutely do. Once you get past that part, things go day to day. I'm going to be honest, they truly will. And so what I'm asking you to do is to, really learn from your support system. Lean on your family and friends. That was really important to me after I got out of this mess. People came out of the woodwork. How can I help you? My friends that I lost came back. Get rid of toxic people, place boundaries, and stick by those boundaries. Getting rid of those toxic people are one of the best things you can do, truly. I promise you, for every toxic person you get rid of in your life, 3 wonderful people will enter. At least that's what happened to me. What you need to develop truly is coping skills. That's what helped me tremendously. And that's what I try to help other people do now. Why do you need coping skills? Well, you may feel overwhelmed. There are days you will lack concentration. We tend to overthink. We become disassociated. We feel lost. We don't feel heard. We've gone through this for many years. Depression, anxiety, PTSD, trauma. There are triggers that will come up. Could be a song on the radio. Could be, I was watching a movie the other day. It was literally just a look between 2 people. We need you to find out what those are. We need you to find what's in you that we can help you with. So, lack of confidence, in your appearance, to, finding a job, you're just going to have to, we're going to find what uplifts you, and we're going to get you back where you need to be. A lot of this caused me not just mental issues and psychological issues, but my physical issues became harder to overcome. I actually lost a job over this. And so, I really had to rebuild my life, but I did it. And again, you can do it as well. I have all the confidence that you'd be able to do it. I was able to do it. I left when I was 48. I'm 52 years old now. I have a new life. I have healthy relationships. I'm a new person. I found what my fire was and I went after it. Take your control back and stick with that. That is your main thing. But you really truly need support. What else did I do? Well, I have now a toolbox, what I call my toolbox. Once I found that support, I'm still in counseling, which I, highly recommend. Like I said, I use my support system. Maybe a support system to you is just family. Maybe it's your pastor. Maybe it is your family and friends. Maybe you're not comfortable with a counselor, but I highly recommend whatever that support system is out there, use it as much as you need to use it. There are a chain of ladies that I talk to on a daily basis that we support and uplift each other, because we've all been through this at some point in our life, especially with our moms. Set your boundaries, set firm boundaries and stick to them. Cut off communication is a really good boundary to set with the person that you need to cut off communication with. Just cut it off. If you need to respond because you have children, do what I do, 3 words or less. It works. It works every time. They don't need an explanation. You don't need to give them an explanation. It could be 3 words or less. Leave it at that. A narcissist will not continue if you cut them off. So it's either no response or it's 3 words or less, and that will end that conversation for you. Now, if you have children, I did not have children for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to become my mother. And 2, I didn't want to bring a child into that relationship. Something I sort of regret to this day, but I also think it was ultimately the best decision. So there are times when you're going to have to communicate because you have children. Again, be the better person, be graceful, have some dignity. If they're in a rage situation, hang up, give them no response, 3 words or less, stick to those boundaries. If you have to write those boundaries down every day, write them down and stick to them. Give yourself some quiet time. That's always been really important for me. Personal space in your home. Is there somewhere that you can just be you? Is it just a little corner? Is it a back porch? It could be outside of your home. It could be walking through the park. You need that quiet time to shut your mind off, because what happens is your mind just keeps going. You keep reliving, rethinking. Could I? Should I? Would I? It goes on and on. With these coping skills that you'll learn, you can learn to change that. You can learn to change that behavior. That was really important for me. I was always double guessing myself. Had I done the right thing? What should I have done? Why wasn't I enough? I mean, I still have my days and I still have my moments, even, 5 years out. Aromatherapy is priceless to me. The power of scent is really powerful. Find something you love, a good memory, like a rose bush. So you find rose scented oils, incense. Give yourself that time. Gift yourself that at night. If you have anxiety at night and you're constantly reliving things or thinking through your day, put your diffuser on, put those oils in, quiet time, Try to just breathe. Deep breathing exercises are important. Again, things we can work through, things we can learn. Um, Declutter your home. Remove items that bring or make you think of that negativity, or remind you of the past. I got rid of everything. I left with literally nothing anyway. But even if it was clothing, it's gone. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to see it. It doesn't remind me of anything. Um, you know, do what you have to do here for your own peace. You deserve peace. My whole thing now is my peace is more important than anything. And that's truly the truth. Go back to something that you used to do. Find something that you loved. I had all that taken away from me. I used to be an artist. I used to love drawing and painting, um, being with my friends, just having a coffee date. Pick those things back up. Get yourself back out there. Give yourself that opportunity. Maybe it's just reading. Maybe it's running. It's important for you to take something back and learn something new. Maybe it's something new you've wanted to try and weren't able to do so. Practice mindfulness. Reiki has been an important part of my life. I'm a Reiki master. Meditation has become a part of my life. Self-care, holistic remedies. There are always those people out there, and like I said as well, you may always contact me. I will be more than helpful, or help you get into any of that. Learn and limit to response time for others, especially toxic people. The new saying is clear, alt, delete. Don't be afraid to block people. Clear, alt, delete them from your life. Clear, alt, delete. Clear toxic people. Alternate your thinking and free yourself of triggers, which is your delete. So just automatically now think clear, alt, delete. Put yourself in a different type of flight or fright mode. Rethink that. Change it. You are in control now. Pets are amazing therapy. My dog, Luther, is with me all the time. I brought him with me. I did not leave him in that marriage, nor would I. I had him deemed a therapy dog so that he wouldn't be taking away from me. But he truly, truly is therapy. Whether it's a fish, a dog, a snake, whatever it is that you love, pets are amazing therapy. Use them to your benefit. Journaling is another great thing in my toolbox. Write down how you feel for the day. Maybe you had a good day, maybe you had a bad day. Go back and read it and think, how could I improve tomorrow? Or I'm not going to let this affect me tomorrow. Journal, get it all out, get it all completely out. That's exactly what you need to do. Telling yourselves that you no longer have obligations. You do have obligations, but learn to say no. Learn to tell people no. Your time is your time. You don't have to even tell somebody why. Just say, no, I can't make it, can't be there. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe your triggers are bothering you that day. Learning to say no is okay. People will get over it. If they're your friends, they'll understand. If they're your family, they'll understand. Most importantly, it's you that needs to take the time to slowly rebuild your life. Again, no response is a response. And the 3-word technique, use it everywhere you go. Limit social media. That was a big thing for me. I was attacked through social media, sending hate messages, friend requests, anything they could do to get to me. My mom is actually doing that now at 84. So, it's something they use. Social media is something you should limit. Make sure you know who's on your friends list. Not everybody is your friend. Some people are there for information. And so, as harsh as that sounds, it's the actual truth. So be very careful about who you talk to, and and on social media and what you put out there, try to keep your life private. It will come back to you in the end to your benefit. Like I said, your peace is worth way more than anything. um, Learning to rethink and reset your life, that is something that I encourage you to do through counseling, through a life coach. um, it has helped me tremendously. I learned through my mom and family that negative thoughts were supposed to be my thoughts. I'm not doing that much anymore. I don't live that life. I now know that I am enough. I am, here because people like me, and I'm here because, the same old things that you hear on Saturday Night Live. It sounds like a little cliche, but it's true. Learn to rethink that and learn to believe that about yourself. Um, that was one of my toughest things was, I really am enough. It's just finding the right people that feel that you are enough. Um, there is healthy relationships out there. I'm in a very healthy relationship. I, have my friends back. I encourage you, like I said, my family back. Those healthy relationships can be restored and you can move forward. Not everyone is your ex, not everyone is your family member, not everyone is your boss, or coworker. Recognizing your triggers is really important. There are days I don't listen to music at all. My ex-husband was a musician. Music brings me back to a horrible place. Um, so, you know, someday I hope that I'm able to listen to things again. That's just one of my triggers. Find out what your triggers are. Try to avoid them. It's okay to avoid them. Don't make people think that they have to be, a certain way around you. It's where you are. It's where you are in life that's most important because you deserve that. Um, those are some of the things in my toolbox, and I have many more. I have a lot of exercises I do as far as rethinking and thinking through things, like I said, and those are things that will benefit you. I'd like to finish up by just kind of going back to my story. Um, I've had no contact with my ex-husband for almost 4 years now. And like I said, today starts year 5 that I'm free. So being here and speaking to you today meant quite a bit to me. My mother is a different story. Um, she's 84 years old. She is worse than she ever was. I lost my dad 3 years ago. So I was her caregiver until June. Um, I could not take it anymore. I I could not be her punching bag. It triggered me terrible to her coming down to almost saying the exact things my ex-husband used to say to me. So I decided to go no contact with her as well. It's very tough because you feel guilty because of her age and she's not well. But I had to make decisions, tough decisions, that when was it time for me to be well? Well, it's now. And I encourage you that if you do and are able to go no contact with, a family member, as hard as it is, please do so for your own mental and physical health. The past 4 years, I've struggled with adrenal fatigue, issues with my adrenaline, autoimmune disease, neurological issues. All of this, studies have shown, come from narcissist behavior and domestic violence. And at some point, I'll heal from that as well. Um, so please feel free to, do what you need to do to make this work for you because you deserve better. You are enough. You're plenty for the world. And I truly hope that this helps you. Please contact me at my email address if you would like me to work with you or further assist you, have any other questions. I would be more than happy to help you find locations if you need support in your town. Whatever I can do for you, I hope that any of this or some of this will resonate with you. But before I finish, I would quickly like to just mention a few things about work narcissism, because a few of my ladies and men on the Giving Key page, and men can also be a victim. I promised somebody I would mention that for him. Women can be, like I said, my dad was a victim, as well. But in the workplace, I also found I was taking jobs that I was being bossed around and harassed. Again, that was what I thought was normal behavior. We can't all just quit our jobs. But a few tips that I can give you is, if you have a narcissistic coworker or boss, I encourage you to try to limit communication. Ask them to email you. If you can close your door, leave a few inches so that you have a buffer there. If you're able to, in your office, have some oils in a little bottle that you can de-stress with, just kind of smell them for a few minutes, take a few deep breaths. If you're able to have some relaxing music there, please do so. I know that's not always possible. If you can put a diffuser in your office with some oils, that will help you greatly as well. Try again to be the bigger person. If you have to go outside and stop, go outside and take a break. So these are all things that you're able to do in your office environment, that will help you. But a narcissist does, it does happen in the workplace. So again, if we want to talk about that further, you are more than welcome to contact me. I'm going to finish up my presentation, and I want to thank you all for being here. And I appreciate your time, and I certainly appreciate the She Is Me conference and the opportunities it has given me. So believe in yourself. I'd like to leave you with one little thing. If nothing else, be aware of what is unacceptable. Normalize saying no. Do what's best for you. And know it's not your responsibility to sacrifice yourself to others. Please keep that in mind. And I wish you a lot of luck. Thank you very much.